We love to watch someone do the impossible. When an elite athlete twists through the air, we naturally assume they were born with a gift the rest of us simply do not possess. Back in the 19th century, philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche recognized exactly why we do this. He argued that treating genius as pure magic is actually a defense mechanism. If we label their abilities as a divine gift, it lets us off the hook. We avoid having to compare our own efforts to theirs, and we never have to face the reality of our own lack of discipline. We apply a similar excuse to the concept of motivation. We wait around for a sudden spark of energy, treating that emotion as a prerequisite for getting to work. But motivation fluctuates wildly based on your environment, your mood, or how much sleep you had the night before. Building a routine around an emotion means your progress is held hostage by your mood. On the days you don't feel inspired, the work simply fails to happen. Since we cannot control the genetic lottery of raw talent, and we cannot rely on a fickle emotion to carry us through hard work, anyone chasing extraordinary achievement has to look to hard data to find the actual engine of performance. Recently, scientists analyzed over a century of research on human achievement. Looking at 175 different career variables across millions of people, they found that raw intelligence and natural talent are not the top indicators of success. The single greatest predictor of accomplishment in any field is conscientiousness, the sheer ability to stay disciplined and organized. Psychologist Angela Duckworth spent years studying everyone from West Point cadets to national spelling bee champions to figure out what drives that kind of discipline. She labeled this trait grit, a specific combination of deep passion for a long-term goal and the stubborn perseverance to chase it. Her findings form a simple equation. Talent is your baseline. When you invest effort, that yields a skill. Expanding this, effort factors in twice, acting as the primary multiplier for achievement. Even refined skill is worthless if it isn't applied. Still, logging 10,000 hours of sloppy repetition won't make you an expert. Psychologist Anders Ericsson proved that true mastery requires a highly specific type of strain known as deliberate practice. Deliberate practice means intentionally breaking a complex action into microscopic pieces. Medical students don't just practice medicine. They take repeated stabs at placing a peripheral line on a plastic arm. They aggressively focus on exact weaknesses and constantly solicit feedback. Without that deeply uncomfortable, highly targeted friction, any natural advantage you were born with is essentially wasted. But this kind of focused strain is exhausting. Which brings us back to our initial problem. How do you maintain this grueling pace day after day when your emotional motivation inevitably evaporates? James Clear notes obsessing over goals is flawed. Systems actually manufacture results. Compounding a 1% daily improvement makes you 37 times better in a year. This growth is driven by the habit cycle: cue, craving, response, reward, putting difficult behaviors on autopilot. Elite performers do not rise to the level of their ambitious goals. They fall to the baseline level of their daily automated systems. Running those automated systems day after day eventually triggers something much more permanent than skill acquisition. It rewires how you view yourself. Every time you complete a difficult task when you would rather be resting, it acts as a psychological vote. You are casting a ballot for the type of person you wish to become. Accumulate enough of those votes, and your core identity shifts. Former Navy SEAL Commander Jocko Willink treats the morning alarm clock as the very first test of this new identity. How you react to that alarm sets the standard for how you will handle every other uncomfortable action required of you that day. Passing that test removes emotion from the equation entirely. You stop waking up and asking yourself if you have the energy to train. You simply ask, what does a disciplined person do right now? And then you execute. Most people view this level of strict routine as restrictive. Society tends to look at rigid schedules and heavy repetition as a sort of self-imposed prison, but the reality works in exact reverse. The people who adhere to the strictest daily systems are the ones who ultimately earn the most options in life. Financial stability, physical health, and professional autonomy are all purchased through daily compliance. Discipline equals freedom. Ignore the cult of genius and stop waiting for motivation. Extraordinary skill and total autonomy are engineered through small, reliable systems deliberate discomfort, and the willingness to do the boring work that everyone else avoids.